Okay, we now move on to the next item, which is public questions. I've got 5 people wishing to speak, and the first one is Mr. Alec Thraves, please.
I'm not a regular here. Alec Thraves, representing Swansea Trades Council and the Socialist Party. Comrades, the revenue budget report points out that there will be a 60 million net service budget increase for 2026-27, but this settlement is still not enough funding to prevent, as the report says, substantial savings, I call them cuts, of just under 13 million that need to be found to balance the books. So this year's budget settlement, handed down from a Labour government in Westminster and the Senate, will once again result in Swansea's Labour Council demanding that Swansea residents and its council workforce pay the price for the cost of living crisis. We'll see another above-inflation council tax increase. We'll see higher costs for council services, £6 million worth of cuts in social services, and extra stress on council staff who are already struggling to provide our everyday services. This is what the council will be voting on today. This proposed budget is just a continuation of the past 15 years of Tory and Lib Dem cuts and austerity measures, which are now being implemented by Labour. And most worryingly, according to the budget report, future settlements are likely to be more challenging. The report recognises that the Council can't continue to just kick the economic can down the road when it comments that, put simply and bluntly, past draws from general reserves and the use of earmarked reserves cannot be repeated as those routes are all but fully exhausted. That is a stark message coming from the officers. This could be a nightmare scenario for Swansea residents and council workers. So my question, as the council has consistently refused to consider the Trades Council and Socialist Party's demand for a legal, no-cuts, needs-led budget, what plan of action has the Labour-controlled council prepared to stop council services, jobs and the city of Swansea from future decimation? And I say that because after 16 years of cuts, that has rolled out the red carpet for reform with their anti-union and racist policies to pick up seats in the Senate and the council elections next year. So that's my question.
Councillor Stewart.
Mr. Thraves, thank you, Mr. Thraves. And again, can I begin by thanking you for again attending this evening. I know you are a regular attender at budget time and have done for many years, and I do applaud you for taking the time to read the budget and to come forward with your question. In terms of, let's start with where I agree with you. Certainly agree with you that we can't forget the fact that the Lib Dems were the co-authors of austerity together with the Tories in London, and they did impose that on the country, and we are still seeing the damage from the years of austerity in our public services. I'd also agree with you that, you know, the damage that austerity did give platforms to parties like Reform, which, as we are seeing across the country, do huge damage to local authorities and to services when they get in control. And again, I think it's incumbent upon all of us to continue to expose the chaos they cause when they're given the chance to run councils. In terms of the budget, though, that's where I'll disagree with you. As you quite rightly referenced, it's a £60 million gross investment in services, £47 million net investment. And that achieves a record investment in education at 240 million, record investment in care services at 208 million, and record investment in place-based services at 101.5 million. So that it is a budget which asks for £13 million worth of savings or additional income, because it's a mix of both. Where we talk about savings, if you delve into the detail of the books, you will see that some of the social services savings are linked primarily to the transformation of services, meaning we are stopping spending money in certain areas in order to spend more in others to do social care a better way, have more prevention, and to ensure we reach the optimum model for supporting people in the best way that we possibly can. And I know Councillor Gibbard will say more on that later. But the other part of that 13 million are things where we're just keeping pace with inflation or below inflation in terms of the charges that we level on our services to ensure that we can continue to provide those services to the people of Swansea. So, you know, a legal no-cuts budget, as we've traded blows on before, is a bit of a fallacy, because if you went down that route, you potentially would do exactly what the warning is in the budget book that you referred to, because you would exhaust your reserves very quickly and you would end up with an unsustainable position. And just to say on reserves, we have the second highest reserves in Wales. We continue to replenish reserves every year, even though, as Mr. Smith advises us in his advice, there was a small draw from reserves. When we get to outturn a few months later, we see that there's a surplus and more money is added to specific reserves in the council. So it's a bit of a washing machine, where you take some out when you need it and you add it back in when you have it. And that's what we've been doing successfully for a number of years. And actually, the levels of reserves that we have now are significantly higher than they were a decade ago. So again, Mr. Thraves, thank you very much for the question. Again, we're very proud of the budget we're putting forward, because it is record investment across all services.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Thraves.